Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Australia's Tabletop Wargaming Network. As per usual, my name is ScottyD49, and tonight we have got the first of what I like to call the South Pacific ITC Snapshot. So this is something live we do here on the ATWN, is what we're going to be doing going forward. Around the first Friday or second Friday of the month, and we're going to really dig into the South Pacific ITC region, talking about the top players, talking about the events that have happened, the podium and the meta, and how that reflects the meta and such as well. And we're also going to be jumping into talking about the events that are coming up and where you can grab your ITC points in the South Pacific. Now, this is live on Twitch, on the ATWN's Twitch channel, as well as it'll be up on YouTube afterwards as well. So we do have the live chat. So welcome in, Fiend Gaz. Great to see you, my friend. How you doing? So we're about a month in the new ITC season, just a little bit over. So it's quite big to jump into this pretty early and get on top of it. Who's keen for this, ladies and gentlemen, in chat? Hope you're all doing well. I'd love to see you guys. So we're going to just jump straight on in. So the idea is the first hour or so of the Friday stream, what we'll do is we'll look at this ITC South Pacific Snapshot. We'll talk about the meta dashboard and the rankings and such as well. And then afterwards, we're going to jump into keeping on with the hobbying afterwards as well. As per usual, as you guys know and love from myself here. But let's jump into some of the juicy details, ladies and gentlemen, before we get any further. So, we've got some guys that are absolutely slaying it so far. It's been a really busy first kind of month and a bit of the South Pacific ITC. We've had over 11 events, which is insane. There was there's been virtually one or two every weekend across the country. Sometimes multiple in the same location for the same state, particularly South Australia, which is the way the guys kind of run it over there. But it's really exciting, and I'm really keen to jump into this. Oh, 100% Fiend, guys. Tons of tourneys already planned, which is great. And heaps more coming up as well. We've got another bunch. So we'll kind of talk about the next month or so in terms of tournaments and what's going on there as well. So starting off with, we did have a request from the Down Under 40K guys to actually have a look at the top 20. I do have the top 10 up on screen. So starting off, we've got the top 10. Then we'll look at the 11 to 20. So first off, we've got Chris O'Neill. Now, Chris has been absolutely slaying it with Adeptus Custodes. As you can see, he may have not had the best performance at the Dice Arcade GT as he was on stream second round. He did lose his first game, but I believe he still went 4-1. So to be posting a result of 619.96 ITC points from 4 out of his 6 events is huge. And he's in the top place for the South Pacific so far. Second place, we are looking at Peter O'Neill, who is coming in with 4 events as well, sitting at 457.27 points. So these are the only 2 gentlemen that have got more than 2 events under their belt already. These guys are gunning hard for their points. He's been doing really well with Custodes. 100% Fiend, guys. Chris is on top of Custodes at the moment. Unfortunately, as you know, the season will go on, I dare say we're going to get the faction rankings as well. I'd love to bring you the top 3 for every faction in these snapshots as well. But unfortunately, because we're only about a month in, Best Ghost Pairings is still getting the ranking stuff in order with Frontline Gaming, which means it is taking a bit of time to get those factions up to date. Now, in third place, we have the man, the myth, the legend, Alex the Greek, with only 2 events, but 399.18 points. He went fully undefeated at the Dice Arcade GT, scoring 500 out of 500 points with his AdMech. And I dare say there's another event that he's got under his belt that he first placed. And I'll just have a look at that for you guys, ladies and gentlemen. So you're able to know what he's actually played in, because only with 2 events so far. The Madawi, Down Under 40K Madawi RTT in February, he came first in that as well. Absolutely phenomenal to see him doing so well with the AdMech, particularly being one of the coaches for Team Australia, planning on going to the WT singles and really do really well this year in terms of the Australian ITC, well, South Pacific ITC as well. Then we have got Shane Miller, who is one of the South Australian guys. he's coming in with only 2 events, but 348.57 points on the board so far. So it means that, you know, Alex and Shane really in a good position to really get up to where Chris is at with maybe 1 really good sized event in the rankings as well. Maybe 2 decent results, not like first or podiums, but they're within striking distance pretty much straight away. And then number 5, you're looking at Joshua Brody coming in with 342 points with 2 events out of his 6 under his belt. Now, he's been playing Demons at the moment. He didn't have the greatest performance at the Dice Arcade GT. He did like top 10, I believe, from memory, which I can pull up for you as well, because I do have the rankings open on one of my other monitors. So, but he is well known for his Demons. All right, so at the Game Center Narellan RTT for February, he came in 3rd and 6th at the Dice Arcade GT with Demons. So he is doing quite well already in terms of the points he is achieving. And I know Josh Brody, he's a great player. He's going to be someone to watch out for this season and see what happens from there. Next up, we have got Kyle Pearson with 330.91 points after only 2 events. Then you've got Joshua Hines, who we did have on stream at the Dice Arcade GT as well. From memory, he was playing Dark Angels, or it was Thousand Suns. I can't remember 100%, so I'm just going to pull it up and find out for you, ladies and gentlemen. Dark Angels it is. He did have Dark Angels there, so Dark Angels are really strong in the meta at the moment, as we'll see when we get to the meta dashboard, but do require a relatively experienced pilot. So, good to see him up there as well. You've got in 8th place, you've got Gary Morris, who is sitting on 298.35 points with 2 out of 6 events as well. Gary, a veteran of the scene, knows exactly what he's doing in there as well. Playing with the Votan. It's good to see Votan up so high as well. He came in 1st at the Game Center Narellan February RTT and 6th at the Madawi RTT in Feb as well with the Votan. So, you know, some people think Votan are not as good in the meta at the moment, or they're struggling a little bit just with the amount of nerfs they've gotten and such. But Gary here is absolutely showing everyone who is boss with them and doing quite well in the scene. Then you've got Igor Kalanen coming in with 297.13 points with only 2 events. With his Necrons, he did post quite a good placing at the Dice Arcade GT, I believe, coming in 4th overall, which was really solid, and doing quite well in some other events as well with only 1 other so far. But he is a faction specialist, so expect him to play Necrons all season. Expect him to post up as top 3, if not 1st place, for Necrons in the faction awards at the end of the season. Then in 10th place, we've got Dylan Cowan coming in with 296.91 points and 2 out of 6 events played. Now, I'm not familiar with Dylan, so I'm going to pull up where he's actually playing in terms of his events. He is actually playing in Victoria, so he's played at the Rat Raider tournament as well as Strength in Numbers, which was on the same weekend as the Dice Arcade. No worries at all, Fiend, guys. Cool. So, doing really well there. So, as you could see, the majority of the top 10 currently are New South Wales players. They have had the majority of the events so far for the season. They're going hot on RTTs and with a couple of GTs happening as well. It's really great to see them firing on all cylinders already, trying to get their players with the points and trying to get ahead before the other states start catching up. Now, I'm not going to dig too much into the 11 through 20, but I will tell you guys that in 11th place, we have James Beal on 290 points. In 12th, we have James Mann with 285 points. Stephen McGregor on 277 in 13th. In 14th place, Mr. Ben Brown of the Down Under 40K crew with 259 points. 15th is Bradley MC with 257 points as well. I believe so. The majority of those top players in the top 10 are all different factions, Fiendgaz, to my knowledge at this stage. Hey, Daz, how you doing, mate? Welcome in. Great to see you. As you know, guys, we are doing this live as well, so feel free to come and find us on Twitch every Friday. Well, not every Friday, but Friday's start of the month. Generally, we'll do this kind of snapshot to give you guys an idea of what's going on in the South Pacific ITC. So Daz was the one who requested doing the top 20, so that's why we're doing it. We're just halfway through that now, Daz. So in 16th place, we got Jay Marn, another faction specialist coming in with Tau at the moment, sitting on 243 points. In 17th place, we got Sean Richardson with 243 points as well. Then in 18th place, we got the man Adam Napier coming in with 235 points from 2 events as well. 19th place, we got Nate Mail with 230. And rounding up the top 20 is one of the Wednesday boys, Benjamin Hayter, coming in with 227 points there as well. So it looks like it's a great diversity in terms of some states starting to get more players in at that top 20 with Adam Napier, potentially a few Vic guys as well. But because it's so early in the season, a lot of players have only got 2 events. So they're trying to get as best points as they can to start off with. And maybe as the season goes on, the top players do get their points and then they don't go to as many events. It gives the opportunity for players lower down on the rankings to maybe wrestle their way up to the top. Or, you know, we've got so many good players in Australia that are going to be fighting for it. They're going to be absolutely slaying. And yeah, 100% Daz. Chris O'Neill and Peter O'Neill, 4 events already. These guys are mad. We're talking about them. But that being said, Alex and Shane only having 2 events under their belt is really easily within striking distance for them. Okay, so now we're going to jump into a bit of the meta discussion and talk about what events have happened in terms of where they are, how many players, what type of events, as well as the top 3 players, their factions, and where the factions are actually sitting on the meta dashboard. To give you guys a bit of an idea, the meta dashboard is produced by the guys over at statcheck.com, so really appreciate all the hard work that Inez and Anthony Vanilla and the rest of the crew. I'm sorry I'm forgetting the rest of their names, but they're doing a phenomenal job. So make sure to check it out if you want a bit more information of what's going on in the Arcs of Omen currently in terms of the meta. So, first up, as I just scroll down over here to get you guys on screen with that first event, we have got the TNA, so the Northside Alliance First Blood RTT. It's up in Queensland. It was held on the 4th of February, so not too long after the LVO, with 57 players for an RTT, a 3-round RTT. So we're having a look here. Some of the factions will be off to the side. Some will be underneath the players. BCP's a bit buggy like that at the moment, so hopefully they get fixed. Fixed up at some point soon. So, in first place, we have Dave Truman from the Battle Station Toowoomba team with Renegade Knights. So, Chaos Knights, he scored 99, 193. So, he only dropped about Jeremy and Nathan and Cliff as well. Thank you so much for letting me know about that as well over at the Stat Check, guys. Junos, really appreciate that, brother, and good to see ya. So, Chaos Knights are currently in kind of this interesting spot. They are currently with a veteran win rate of 39% with 192 games played, but the newcomer win rate is 51% of 185 games played, which means they're kind of in this top left-hand quadrant for the stat check on the meta dashboard, which is quadrant 1. The mid-table menace is what they dub this. So they're just above that 50% win rate for newcomers, but they're below that 50% win rate for veteran. So really good to see David Truman here doing well with Chaos Knights. In second place, we have Micah Baranoff coming in with Tau Empire. He went and put up a 91, a 93, and a 98, resulting in only, I believe that's only about, that's 9, 16, 18 drop points across the 3 rounds, which is really solid. I mean, Tau at the moment, you look on the meta dashboard, Tau are actually in the struggling quadrant. So quadrant 3, they're less than 50%. So they're 41% for veterans and 45% for newcomers. So they're struggling a bit, but they have been hit quite hard because of how well they have been performing according to Games Workshop. But maybe all those points increases and some of those restrictions put on them in Arcs of Omen as well has helped rein them in a little bit, but still a really good showing there. And Fiendgaz definitely agree that scoring that big is unusual. He might just know how to best play them. And maybe Arcs of Omen does open some stuff up for the Chaos Knights as well. And then in third place, we've got Will Milton of the Northside Alliance team with Imperial Knights. Now, I believe Will is also on the Australian team as well. I could be wrong, but playing Imperial Knights and posted up a 98, an 85, and a 98. So only dropping 19 points throughout the 3 rounds as well. Really solid. And Imperial Knights are actually considered to be in the balanced zone. So they're sitting at a veteran win rate of 50% with a newcomer win rate of 46%. So they're actually quite balanced at the moment, doing quite decently in the meta. They're not, struggling, but they're also not requiring too much of assistance to boost them up a little bit. So the one thing that blows me away about this tournament, they've got 57 players for a 3-round one-dayer. That blows me away. Like, insane. Absolutely insane. Shout out to the Northside Alliance. 100%. That's 100%. And glad to hear that I was correct in my guess that he was on Team Australia. Or that he is on Team Australia for the WTC this year. Then, next up, speaking of down under 40k, we have got the February RTT down in Madawi, run by the down under 40k guys, with 20 players in attendance. Now, in first place, if you're not surprised, it is Mr. Alex the Greek coming in of the Chadmec team with Adeptus Mechanicus. Now, Adeptus Mechanicus currently are at an overall win rate of 45% with a veteran win rate of 41%, a newcomer of 39%. So it means that they are struggling a little bit, but Alex has shown that with a good player, you can absolutely crush it because he got 3 100s at the down under 40k Madawi RTT. In second place, we have Kyle Pearson, who is running Orcs. I'm not sure what flavor of Orcs. Maybe it was Goths or Death Skulls. I'm not 100% certain. He posted up an 87, 100, and 97, so he only ended up dropping 16 points with Orcs. Now, Orcs currently, they're actually sitting in the balance zone as well. They're just at a 51% veteran win rate and a 48% newcomer win rate, meaning they are in that experienced pilot required zone for the meta dashboard, which is really interesting because Orcs are kind of creeping up a little bit more now with an overall win rate of, I think they're not showing up the overall, but they're probably sitting around that 50-ish. Jim Tack, one of our supporters over on the Ko-Fi. Really appreciate it. And we got Kavarek joining in as well. Love to see you guys. Hope you're all doing well. We're just jumping into some of the events that have happened over the past month for the ITC here in the South Pacific. And then we're going to jump into the events that we've got coming up. And Kavarek, we're talking about yours. So, next, we have got in there, third place is Sean Richardson. Both Kyle Pearson and Sean Richardson are from the Knobs team. So, Sean was running Death Guard and posted an 87, a 79, and a 92. Yeah, definitely agree. Definitely agree as well. And Jarvi, thank you so much for the follow to the Australia's Tabletop Wargaming Network. Welcome in, my friend. So, he dropped, what, 13, 21, and 8. So, that's over about 30, 40 points across the weekend. So, across the 3 rounds. So, there mightn't be too high a scoring depending on who you face. But at the same time, that's still a good result for Orcs. Like, third place. Undefeated, really good. And Orcs are very similar to where Imperial Knights are currently, being that 51% win rate with 48% of the newcomer percentage as well. So they're doing quite well also. And Tagilla Killer Thriller, thank you so much for the follow to the Australia's Tabletop Wargaming Network. Really appreciate the support, my friend. Alrighty, next up, we then go to the Rat Trader RTT. I'm just going to get it right on the screen for you guys. That was on the 11th of Feb. I haven't been mentioning dates. I forgot to mention dates. So the Down Under 40k RTD was on the 5th of Feb. Then the Rat Trader RTT was on the 11th of Feb. 18 players RTT with 3 rounds. So in first place, we have Dylan Cowan playing Dark Angels with 99, 100, and 85 in terms of his points scored. Only dropping 16 points. What is it with 16 points? Across an event for 3 rounds, people seem to drop 16 points, and it's like, yeah, cool, that seems to be about the average, dropping about 6 points a game. So, or across the 3 games, sometimes you get more, sometimes you get less. that seems to be kind of the sweet spot for these top players. So, running Dark Angels. Dark Angels are definitely an experienced pilot army, as we've already said. Sitting at 59% overall with 63% veteran, but 37% newcomer. So it means that veteran players are doing quite well with Dark Angels, as we saw in the Meta Watch article today. Dark Angels are at the top, hitting around 57+% on their win rate currently. Then you've got Prans Kerr, which is from the Guff team. I'm not certain if that's like a pseudonym for this person or if that's their actual name. But they were playing Astra Militarum with putting up a score of 71, 99, and 91. So only dropping around 31 points, particularly like dropping 29 points in that first game. Sorry, massive. And then so dropped about 39. So almost 40 points. But Astra Militarum currently are in quite a strong position. If I look on the meta dashboard, they're sitting at a win rate of 49% for veterans, 56% for newcomers to the faction, which means it's a bit of a mid-table menace at the moment, but I dare say we're going to see that over the coming weeks move into the overtuned section on the meta dashboard. And then in third place, we have Jack Wilson, who is running Ultramarines. Really interesting to see Ultramarines there. Putting up a 63, an 83, and a 60-point win. So relatively lower wins compared to Pranis and Dylan as well. But still great to see Ultramarines doing quite well. On the dashboard, Ultramarines are actually sitting at a mid-table menace level with 42% for their overall win rate, but 21% veteran and 51% newcomer, meaning that newer players are doing quite well with Ultramarines, catching people off guard, and then veterans aren't as much. The next event we're going to be looking at is the Dragon's Lair Neophyte RTT tournament. Now, this one had 31 players. It was in South Australia on the 11th of February. Now, I believe the way that they do the RTTs in South Australia for the Dragon's Lair guys, they actually run two. These are for the South Australian circuit. Very similar to the Down Under 40K circuit, as well as a few of the other circuits that are state-based across the country. But these ones are run on the same day, but two different pods. They've got the Neophyte and then the Acolyte. So I'd love to actually get Adam Napier on at some point to actually discuss it, to figure out why they do it that way and such. So that's the other thing we're going to do with these snapshots. We'll have guests on from time to time to join me discussing these events and talking about the meta and such as well. So this first one, the Dragon's Lair Neophyte RTT, had 31 players on the 11th of February. We had Riley Kopp from the Death and Zeal team coming in first place with Adeptus Custodes, putting up an 85, a 94, and an 82-point win for each of those. So Adeptus Custodes, really at the moment, they are in the overtuned zone. They're sitting at 55% veteran win rate and 54% of the newcomer win rate. So really big there that, you know, the Adeptus Custodes getting that objective secured on their infantry back has made a massive difference in their performance, as well as getting the Emperor's Auspice stratagem to turn off rerolls. That limitation of once per game is now removed, but you can only apply it to infantry, so it means we might actually be seeing more infantry-heavy builds coming out of the Custodes at the moment to really make use of that stratagem. Then in second place, we've got Cameron Tonne from Culture Gaming with Eldari. And he put up a 91, a 90, and a 49 win for each of his rounds, or their rounds, I should say, shouldn't assume. And Eldari or Asiyani are actually in a really interesting spot. They require an experienced pilot. They're sitting at a 54% overall win rate with a 59% veteran win rate and a 47% newcomer win rate. And then you've got Jared Healy, who was running Chaos Space Marines with a 70-point win, a 48-point win, and a 57-point win as well. So not big wins like some of the other factions we're seeing at the moment, but it's still good to see Chaos Space Marines up there because they are struggling at the moment, much like Deathwatch. In terms of the way GW are looking at things, I think they're sitting around 39% in terms of their win rate. On the meta dashboard, though, if I just find good old Chaos Space Marines, they are sitting at a 42% veteran win rate and a 52% newcomer win rate, meaning they're a bit of a mid-table menace at the moment. Then going into the Acolyte Dragon's Lair tournament, on the 11th of Feb, which had 28 players. We had Shane Miller coming in with a 90, a 100, and a 94-point win on Adeptus Mechanicus. So again, to reiterate those stats, Admecha at a 54, 45 overall percentage win rate with 41 and for veterans and 93 for newcomers. But really good to see another strong Adeptus Mechanicus player showing that the Admech can really have some play in the current meta if you are a veteran player and you know exactly how to play them. Toads are fine. Stop it. Strommy. Mate. I know, but they're a bit overtuned, bud. Bit overtuned. So then we've got in second place Sam Marshall, who's running Iron Hands. So this is the first Iron Hands we've seen place from these events so far. He got a 91, an 88, and a 100-point win, meaning that he dropped about 21 points from those first 2 games, but scored the max on that last one. Now, Iron Hands at the moment, 100%, they are in the overtune zone. To get you a bit of an idea, they are sitting at a 57% of the... and the dashboard just reset itself. Lovely. Let me just get that back up for you. But it was 57% veteran, and then it was something along the lines of 53% of newcomers or something like that. So Iron Hands definitely very much up there and one that you should keep an eye out for as well. Now, let me just get this reset for you, ladies and gentlemen. As we are live doing this, it does, the stat check dashboard does like to reset itself quite frequently. And I don't understand why. But it is what it is. And then we have in third place from the Acolyte tournament for the Dragon's Lair RTT is Shane Condy coming in with Tyranids with a 97, a 77, and a 97-point wins for his rounds. And Tyranids at the moment are struggling. Those nerfs that they've gotten increasingly over the past few balanced starter slates have really hit them hard. They are now sitting at a 44% overall win rate. Veterans are sitting at a 48%, while newcomers are sitting at 44% as well. Overtune on crappy American terrain. I'm not sure they will post as good numbers here in Australia. That is quite true, Daz. That is quite true. That they might not post as well. Yeah, Nids are in a tough spot, and I know my mate Biolemon here on the network would likely agree with me as well, and Daz is also saying that as well. But, you know, we've got a couple of really good Nid players locally here in the ACT, so I'm interested to see how they actually go in our local events as well. Then, next up, we are going to look at the Game Center Narellan February RTT that was held on the 18th of Feb in New South Wales, which had 26 players in attendance. In first place, we had Gary Morris of Team Vanguard with Leagues of Votan with 193-point wins. Now, Votan are actually sitting in the balance side of things at the moment with a 48% veteran win rate and a 50% newcomer win rate, meaning they're actually doing reasonably okay. Sisters too OP to even appear in the top 3. Vomit Rocket, we haven't seen any sisters yet, but I reckon we will in a second. Just hold off on that, my friend. But it's good to see it's been a while since you've dropped by. Glad to see that you've able to join us, my friend. Next up, we have got Chris O'Neill again from the Knobs team, posting an 87, 100 wins with his Adeptus Custodes, and we've already said they're in that overtune zone, doing quite well at the moment as well. Then in third place, we've got Josh Brody from Team Vanguard again, posting an 87, 96, and 97-point wins with his Chaos Demons. Now, Chaos Demons are actually also overtuned at the moment and doing quite well. They're sitting on an overall win rate of 57%, with 60% of that being for veterans and 63% for newcomers. So really interesting that veterans and newcomers alike are doing really well with the new Demons Codex that only came out probably about 6 to 7 months ago now. Now we get into some teams action, ladies and gentlemen. So we had the Strength in Numbers teams tournament down in Ballarat, Victoria on the 25th and 26th of February. It was a 64-player with 16 teams of 4, and it was a major tournament. Now, I'm not going to look at individual players. Instead, I'm going to look at the top 3 teams. So first up, we had the Frisky Rollers coming in with the win which had Dalton Nugget with Dark Angels, Dean Simbeck with Black Legion, Jeremy Martino with Adeptus Sororitas, and Lawrence Gutierrez with Imperial Knights. So really interesting. You know, Dark Angels sitting there being in the experienced pilot required zone. You've got Dean Simbeck is an absolute weapon on Chaos Space Marines in general, being a faction specialist there, running Black Legion. So they're kind of in that mid-table menace, but he's been playing them for a really long time. He knows what he is doing with them. Jeremy Martino playing Adeptus Sororitas. Now, Sisters, funnily enough, are actually struggling a bit at the moment since their changes to both Armor of Contempt and also the their secondary. One of their secondaries just got completely reworked. So Sisters are sitting on a 41% veteran win rate with a 48% newcomer win rate. So they're actually struggling a little bit. They're not too far out of the balance zone, but I think Armor of Contempt hurt them a lot on top of the objective change. Maybe if they didn't have the objective change and had Armor of Contempt just taken away, we may have seen them in the balance zone, but we don't know at this stage. And then Imperial Knights are in that balance zone. They're sitting on a 50% veteran win rate and a 46% newcomer win rate, as we've previously mentioned. In the second team, we have got the Wartang clan. I love that name. It's literally spelt Wartang clan. You can see it on screen. So funny. That's awesome. It had Bradley MC with Astra Militarum, James Mann with Imperial Knights, Mark Karana with Orcs, and Stephen McGregor with Adeptus Custodes. So we've discussed all of these factions already. So Astra Militarum, they're definitely a mid-table menace at the moment, starting to go towards the overtuned side. You've got Imperial Knights that are in that balance zone. Orcs are also in the balance zone, with Adeptus Custodes being in that overtuned section too. And then the third place team was I Can't Believe It's Not Meta. Now, that is also another great team name as well. It had David Guerrera. I probably butchered that, to be honest, but I've met Dave, great bloke from the Geelong Heresy guys, playing Astra Militarum. You have Luke Fraser with Death Guard, Matt Steele with Tau Empire, and Reese Cunningham with Orcs as well. So Death Guard are just sitting outside the balance zone on the meta dashboard, but they are struggling a little bit, sitting at a 44% veteran win rate with a 46% newcomer win rate as well. So really interested to see how they further go. Same with Tau. So Tau, again, as we previously mentioned, only have a 41% veteran win rate with a 45% newcomer win rate. Orcs in that balance zone, and then Astra Militarum being that mid-table menace. So some really interesting factions picked there. Now we get to the Dice Arcade GT. Now this was streamed here on the network with myself and Jack on commentary for all 5 rounds. Now in first place, once again, we have the man, the myth, the legend, Alex the Greek, with 5 100 results on his Adeptus Mechanicus. In second place, we have Damien Ridgewell, who posted an 83, an 82, an 86, a 90, and a 99 result with his Dark Angels, doing really well there. We also had him on the network earlier this week to talk about it on the 40K Academy stream, with Alex hosting that as well, so you can go check that out. It'll also be up on the YouTube channel on Monday this coming week as well, I believe. Then in third place, we've got Brad Milner from the Garage Wargamers playing Death Skulls Orcs. He posted a 69, a 96, a 100, a 54-point draw, and then 95 with that as well. So Orcs still being quite balanced. And yeah, Daz himself reminded me, it was the first GT on the Down Under 40K circuit. And it was a 79-player major as well for the ITC. 5 rounds, really great event. It was great to cover it. And I'm excited to cover more of the New South Wales meta and more events across the country as we continue to grow the network here. So then one of the last events we've still got a couple more after this. We've got the Low Rollers Game Day in Queensland. They had 30 players for their RTT on the 26th of Feb. We have Dylan Hopkins with Astra Militarum. He put up a 95, a 97, and a 100-point result. In second place, you have Mr. Wayne Russell, who was one of the coaches for Team Australia last year at the WTC, playing World Eaters. Now, we actually don't have enough data on World... Oh, no, we do. We've got some data on World Eaters, so I'll talk to that in a second. But he posted an 84, a 94, and a 95-point win with World Eaters, so coming in second with them. So World Eaters are sitting at a 55% overall win rate with a 43% veteran and 58% newcomer, putting them in that mid-table menace zone. Now, one of my local players here in the ACT, Joe Locke, has picked up World Eaters. He was playing Black Legion before that and Chaos Space Marines well before that as well, and he's an absolute weapon on these guys. He is absolutely creaming veterans with this. It is insane. It's a really... World Eaters, I reckon we'll see them get into potentially the overtune zone by the end of the season, quite possibly. So just going to catch up with chat for a second here. We got Juno saying, talk I'm hearing is that Iron Hands are doing just fine in the UKTC as well. So it's not just frontline gaming terrain that's letting them do well. Fair enough. Fair enough. Good to know, Junos. Good to know. And then we have got Oliver Johnson from the Northside Alliance playing Leagues of Votan, putting up 2 88s and an 89 for their results in the RTT to come third. So again, Votan in that balance zone doing quite decently at the moment. So that's the second time we see Votan, which is really encouraging to me. So everyone who's like, oh, Votan aren't so great, you've just got to like see what these guys are doing. Maybe ask them if you know them, how they're playing the Votan. And, you know, definitely a winnable faction at this stage. You know, a lot of factions are actually in a good position to win events. There are some that are really struggling, but there are others that are in great position. Then the second to last one is the War for Glory tournament from South Australia. On the 26th of Feb, it was a 19-player RTT. Tim B, welcome in. Great to see you, my friend. How you doing? So this tournament, in first place, we have Craig Peterson with Ashmil Tarum. He posted up a 96, a 95, and a 100-point win there. Really solid to see Ashmil Tarum still doing quite well. Then you've got James Scott coming in second with World Eaters again. So World Eaters, they're podiuming. So I think we will start to see them head towards Overtuned. He posted an 81, an 89, and a 74-point rounds that were wins. And then in third place, we have James Beal, who is running Ultramarines with an 81 loss the first round. That's a really high loss, followed by a 96-point win and then a 100-point win as well to round out the 3 rounds. So again, Ultramarines sitting on a 42% win rate with 21% veteran, 51% newcomer, being that mid-table menace army as well. So it's really exciting to see some of these factions. And you'll also notice that we haven't actually had a lot of duplication between these events, meaning the Australian meta is vastly different depending on where you go in the country and where you you play in your local meta and all that. Now, I will note that these are just the ITC events that are on Frontline Gaming's website currently for the ITC circuit. So if events that haven't been lodged as of yet, that were before this stream, unfortunately won't be covered. So if you are helping run events or whatnot for the ITC in your local area, make sure you get them up ahead of time, just so I'm able to cover them here on stream and talk about them. And also make sure you get your results as quick as possible in on once they are completed. Now, we've got one more tournament we're going to talk about, which is the Down Under 40K Madawi March RTT, which happened just last weekend on the 5th of March with 20 players once again. In first place, we had Chris O'Neill from the Knobs team playing his Adeptus Custodes, putting up a 96, a 97, and a 97. So he's gone back-to-back multiple weeks in terms of tournaments, in terms of getting really solid results, as we've saw his first place in South Pacific ITC at the moment with those 4 events. Then in second place, you got Greg McGinty from the Down Under 40K group with Death Guard with a 91, a 92. Both of those were wins and then a 72-point loss. So, yeah, Death Guard still struggling, as we've previously mentioned, what their win rates are for veterans and newcomers. And then Peter O'Neill from Knobs playing Chaos Demons, putting up an 58-point win sorry, 58-point loss, followed by a 95-point win and a 97-point win with the Chaos Demons. So yeah, I reckon once Peter gets the Chaos Demons reined in and knows really what he's doing, he's going to be able to really start excelling in the New South Wales scene and potentially really wrestle for that top spot on Chaos Demons. So overall at the moment, I would say the most events we've seen are from New South Wales. Majority of these are in the down under 40K circuit as well for the New South Wales scene. It's really exciting to see that they've got a lot of events happening, both RTTs and GTs, as we're about to talk about. We've got a bunch of GTs and other larger events coming up. But overall, I'm going to throw to you guys in chat for a second. What do you guys think of the meta? What do you guys think of things from the New South Wales scene or South Australia? And if you are from any of those scenes, sound off in chat. Let us know what state you are from so that we can see where you guys and get you guys nicely represented. Now, before we do jump into the tournaments that are coming up, just want to do some quick plugs for us here at the Australia's Tabletop Wargaming Network. Now, we are doing tournament coverage in New South Wales at the moment, some ACT events currently as well, but also we are going to be starting to branch out a bit more, building some more teams across the Southeastern region. Now, this does take a lot of finances and a lot of kind of resources to do so. So if you're actually interested in being a part of what we do here at the network, feel free to send us an email or find me on Facebook or send us a message to the Facebook page and we can see about potentially getting you involved. There'll be a bit of vetting process, of course. And if you do want to support us in terms of financially, then you can actually check out our Ko-Fi page, which you can actually support us for as little as $1 Australian a week on there. And there's various membership tiers, and all that financial support goes back into building these teams, allowing us to cover more events and really help get more South Pacific coverage up and running across the southeastern region of Australia. But outside of that, if you follow us on YouTube and all the other social media as well, that would really be appreciated. I'm actually going to get that Ko-Fi link up for you guys. So if you want to check that out, you can head over there. Or if you want to check out the socials as well, you can find those there as well. But now, let's jump into the tournaments that we have got coming up over the next month or so. So we've got in chat, we have got Stromy saying toads are fine, leave the toads alone. We'll see how the custodes go, my friend. We'll see how they go. And then meta is looking good. It seems to be good players playing what they want and getting results, not just faction hopping to get wins. Daz, I actually really agree with that. It's good to see players sticking to a faction and really honing in on their skills, on how to really do well with that faction and perform on the tabletop against a variety of good factions at the moment, even ones that aren't performing. So yeah, that is kind of it for the meta. Now we're going to talk about some events that are coming up over the next little while, and I'll see if I'll be able to scroll this right the way down. Oh no, of course. Let me do something real quick, chat. There we go. That's up. So we've got a whole bunch of tournaments coming up for the ITC over the next month or so. I did go out to the end of April, which means some of these will be repeated when we do talk about them next month as well. Welcome in, Lynchlord. Good to see you, my friend. So, first event we've got up is CoastCon, which is happening this weekend down in Portland, Victoria. It's 32-player doubles. I believe it's 1,500 points per player, so 3,000 total. Bit of a different ITC event, I would say, down in Victoria, happening on the 11th, 12th of March. Kavarek, who has been in chat chiming away, is the TO for it. So it's going to be a good event. Bit more casual, I believe, is a bit of a vibe. But I know there's a couple of guys here in Canberra that are traveling down for it. But really excited to see what happens there in terms of the doubles teams that pull out and win. Then, not this weekend, but next weekend, Beer Hammer is the word for it. Sounds good, Kavarek. Beer Hammer style event. Awesome. Now I'm just going to grab a water for a sec. Because I've been talking a lot for the past 40-odd minutes, and my throat's dry as. With amazing food. Oh, 100%. 100% Strom, which I know Strom's down there as well, setting everything up.
And we answer.
Slanesh Donkey, thank you so much for the follow, and welcome to the Australis Tabletop Wargaming Network. It's awesome to have your support here on the channel. Great to see you. So, on the 19th of March, we have got the South Australian 40K Circuit Neophyte and Acolyte RTTs for March. So again, they got about 60 players between the two RTTs. So these are really good opportunities if you're in South Australia and can get to, I believe, Dragon's Lair is the store that they're going to be at. If you're able to get there to get some good ITC points in, make a single day of it. You're not burdened to doing a massive 2-dayer. It is a great opportunity to do so with, I believe, a really good community down there as well. Then Dazzer himself is going to be really happy about this. The next event after that is the Down Under 40K Major happening in Medowie, New South Wales with 110 players on the 1st and 2nd of April. And I can happily announce that we are covering the tournament here on the Australis Tabletop Wargaming Network. All 6 rounds. They've got interstate players traveling from Queensland, traveling from Victoria. I believe even some from South Australia. So it's going to be a massive event. We're going to have some really big games on stream as well. I'm super keen for the guys to cover it. I believe we've got Jack and Sam jumping on commentary for the weekend as well, but that's still kind of being worked out. We're still working out the details. And some New Zealand players as well. Nice. Nice. So we've got some internationals attending for that one. That is definitely going to be one to watch, and I hope you'll join us for that coverage when it comes to that first weekend in April. Next up after that, we have got the Clash of the Titans GT. Now, this week, they actually just increased their player count from 32 to 48 players. Now, this is happening at the Cherrybrook Tech High School in New South Wales in Sydney on the 15th and 16th of April. Then the next event after that, on the 22nd and 23rd of April, April's popping off for events, I'll add. You've got Radicalism down in Ballarat, Victoria, with 100 players being an ITC major tournament. So you'll see a lot of people from South Australia travel across for this because it's not too far for them to travel. You may even see some Southern New South Wales guys go down for it, but to get 100 players there is really, really solid, and I'm excited to see what happens at Radicalism and bring you guys a bit more information about it as well. Hey man, we got 6 players here going to CoastCon. Are you going to go through the list at all? Very interested. We might go through the list whilst we're painting. But we won't do it whilst we're doing the ITC Snapshot, unfortunately, Fotai. But welcome in. Great to have you with us. And then the last event that we have got coming up, but that is the last weekend of April, on the 29th and 30th, is the Winter Warfest Major. 60 players up in Queensland. I can't remember exactly where in Queensland. I think it's around Brisbane area, maybe a little bit north of Brisbane. From memory, but 60 players for a major. Really great to see that the Queensland scene is still getting some events. So I'll also note, all of these events are on the southeastern seaboard. You've got some RTTs in South Australia. You've got GT and a major in Victoria. You've also got 2 majors, a GT and a major in New South Wales, as well as a major in Queensland. So if you're in the various states, you've got events going on every month that if you're able to travel to and get to, it's going to be really exciting to get those points. And it's a really good opportunity, particularly the majors. Having that higher player count, having that higher round count means you're going to have more potential to get more wins, which means you get more multipliers you get more benefit from the multiplier, I should say, for the number of players that are in attendance. So if you're able to rack up, say, the first 2 rounds of a win, you're going to get some more points there for the ITC circuit. But it's really exciting to see that the Australian scene is absolutely firing on all cylinders, ladies and gentlemen. But that is going to about wrap us up for the South Pacific ITC Snapshot. I want to thank everyone that has joined us in chat, but I will say we're not ending stream. We're going to continue the discussion, talk about various other stuff as we jump into some Friday hobbying with myself. But for those who are watching on YouTube, that is going to be it from us here at the ATWN for this South Pacific ITC Snapshot. I hope that you have enjoyed the video. And if you do want to join us live, make sure you follow us over on the Australis Tabletop Wargaming Network Twitch channel. And we will hopefully catch you for the next one, which should be in the first 2 weeks of April. But thank you so much for watching, everyone.